Do you feel your mental sanity is crumbling just as quickly as your bank account?
Have you been stung by a murder hornet?
Has your daughter walked into your study and informed you that she is a gender you didn't learn about in Biology 101?
Are you just a little bummed out that your life's work just got burnt to a crisp and annoyed that everyone keeps telling you that it's all right, you have insurance?
Well, we have a solution for you. Apocollection 2020.
What is Apocollection 2020, you ask? It's Weapons of Meme Destruction's first live event. For the low, low price of coming over to WMDpodcast.com and joining our email list, you can get access to the event. The email list is the only way in, as that is where we will share the Zoom link to the event. Come hang out with us on election night, November 3rd, 2020, as we watch the fall of Western civilization together.
Let's have a couple libations and a couple laughs to keep from crying. Apocollection 2020.
I think was I close enough last time?
I mean, you didn't say a whole hell of a lot last time.
Well,
It's just me verbally vomiting all over these people about
well, listen, as your attorney, all I'm going to say is that
I can't be liable for any of the things that I said, right?
those are some very, very funny jokes you were telling.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It was all within...
Which never in 10,000 lifetimes did you ever even dream of acting upon.
I would never, ever.
Although now the lizard people have that recording in perpetuity, so they're always just going to be able to chop it up and be like, David said this.
In front of my house and, look what he did! We all knew what he was about. He hit him with his car. My car was parked right there. That's exactly how he did it. He thought he'd get away with a perfect murder.
We're back to your regularly scheduled
Want to take that line again?
regularly scheduled programming,
There we go.
ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to welcome you to WMDpodcast.com/6. This one is this was going to be a doozy. This one's going to be a doozy. There's an actual meme attributed to this one. I don't remember. I follow a lot of pages that I don't agree with on Facebook, which gives me a just mountain of material. And, I highly recommend it as long as it doesn't affect your mental sanity. Because I understand that can totally, like, toxicity and negativity and things like that can really get to people. I get that. So, if you're in that category, don't heed this advice. But to the extent you can, expand your echo chamber as much as possible, even if the things that are coming into it you think are just absolute farcical nonsense. Maybe they might say something you agree with from time to time. Some of these socialist pages, when they go to banging the drums against war, calling the American empire for what it is, I agree with them. They got some good points on that topic. Absolutely bonkers crazy when it comes to domestic economic policy. But
it's like dating a crazy bitch. It's like, why do you stay with her? Well,
she's
pretty good in bed. It's quite exciting when you think you got to wear some flak jackets in there because you might not come out alive this time. Get it? Come on.
Anywho,
I'm working on levels here.
Oh my god!
Yep, right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
You can't softball them in there.
Here we go. So anyway,
speaking of softball,
none of this has anything. None of this has anything to do with that. The meme today came from one of said websites. I can't remember which one. They probably don't deserve a plug anyway.
Yeah, fuckers.
Anyway, the meme.
Sorry.
Pretty simple. So here it is, verbatim. Here's the truth. Trump's supporters don't measure his success by what he does for, all capital letters, them. They measure by what he does against people they don't like. So let's just take these one at a time. 2 clauses, that's the first one. The second one is coming up later. well, no, I'll just read the whole thing now, and then I'll reiterate later. All right, second clause.
That.
Yeah, we're going to take that part out. This is why we need a script. Second clause. That's why they see him as being successful, quotation marks. This is why they never abandon him. His tormenting of others, again, quotation marks, sustains them. So, basic gist, Trump supporters don't care about what's done for them just as long as it hurts the people they don't like. That's why they'll never leave him, because that's really what they're getting out of it is the pleasure of seeing other people suffer. And those others, well, you could just fill in the blanks as to who those others are if they're Trump supporters, right? So that's the meme that's in society. Well, let's break that meme down. Let's talk about it. So back to clause 1. Here's the truth. Trump supporters don't measure his success by what he does for them. They measure by what he does against people they don't like. David, would you like to take that one away? Would you like to open that one up a little bit? What's being said there?
I wasn't paying attention. You're going to have to give me the line again.
Did I think I lost people that easily, do? I hope not.
No.
Okay.
I want to make sure that I heard it correctly.
Here's the truth.
Truth. So I've already got a problem with that. Go ahead.
Okay. Trump's supporters don't measure his success by what he does for them. Right. They measure by what he does against people they didn't like or they don't like. That would be,
no offense to anybody who's listening to this, but the truth should be supplemented and taken out and replaced with, in my opinion, because that's exactly what the fuck it was. And then realistically, how should I say this? To say that Donald Trump effectively makes policies against the left people or others, or I'm assuming they mean differently colored individuals, i.e.
that's clearly what's being insinuated.
Right, because Trump hates those people, obviously.
And that's the catchphrase.
That would be to say that Trump's done anything during his presidency other than just say how great his presidency was. So I'm going to have to go hard pass. I don't think he's done a whole hell of a lot of anything except for tell everybody how great he is and, make huge monetary value, which is what pretty much every president does. But anyway, I'm more concerned about what you take away from Clause 1, Section 2, Article 8 of the aforementioned meme.
You want the long version or the short version?
Listen, I get plenty of short version in my day. Why don't you give me the big, fat, long one?
Oh, my God. So here's what I think. So this meme, right, that basically, if Trump supporters aren't the only ones that are capable of this particular type of human behavior, they're definitely the one we hear about the most. We might say, other people have it to a lesser degree, but man, when it comes to Trump supporters, they're just the worst, right? And that's this idea that who cares if their material well-being is any better? Because, on some level, we can understand that, right? If somebody says, I want to choose path A versus path B because I think path A is going to help me more, we can understand that viscerally. So even if we disagree with why they're doing it, we could at least understand, well, they're doing what they would, it's clearly helping them. So that's what it is. But they're saying that none of that's actually being done. What's actually being done is other people are being hurt, and they're cool with that. So the reason why I say that, only hearing it in one direction, like, well, that only applies to Trump supporters and, their relationship with minorities, that applies another way. If the catch line for the Trump administration would be brown people bad, what would the catch line of the liberal version be?
People good?
No, it would be something to the effect of like rich people bad, right? If there's one thing that Bernie Sanders and, Joe Biden can agree on, it's that they need money in their campaigns to get people to stay in office, to stay in power. Bernie will say he does it with grassroots and $5 donations from college students, and Biden gets his from a bunch of corporations and super PACs. But the point is, whatever their policies are that's going to get money in their pockets, they will push those policies, at least on the campaign trail. And they'll say, we need to raise taxes. We need to raise taxes. Rich people bad, rich people bad. The premise underlying that is rich people bad. So no matter how many Democratic policies hurt small businesses, destroy communities, all of the domestic housing price restrictions, everything the government does that has been studied empirically and shown this is not helping that community. From suburbs to the inner city, all over the place. Taxing them more, putting more restrictions on everything somebody does makes a less free society, makes a less prosperous society. But yet, the left's catchphrase will be rich people bad. So even though the Democrats' policies are doing nothing to help their material existence in the 99%, they're going to say the 1% is filled with a bunch of demons and they're terrible and whatever. Right? So that behavior cuts both ways, is what I think about it.
Well, of course, Trump doesn't help himself out with all these, what do they call them, rallies? With all these, he likes to get on in front of huge crowds and just say some shit and they all cheer and, oh, yeah. And then the left will take it and cut it up and splice it and make it look like,
Right. He has...
They'll have the Hitler reel running right next to the Trump reel, like, look at it! It's fucking identical!
Yeah. So he has a very braggadocious personality. I mean, I don't...
Oh, he's easy to hate.
Yeah.
He's really easy to hate.
I think that by now we don't need to go into all the nuances of his mannerisms to just say that the general perception is the word Trump defines his personality. Like if you see things in other people, it's very easy to recognize. That's all I'm saying. So he likes to, tout himself up, all that kind of whatever. The point is that his policies are not only helping one particular group and not another, right? So you would say, oh, well, he's helping corporations with lower tax rates and all that kind of stuff. And yes, he is, but something that he likes to trot out all the time, which was true before coronavirus and everything else, was, black unemployment rate is the lowest it's been in so long. And, all of these other metrics that are, if you ask, the simple point of supporting the policy of school choice, giving more families than just rich families to be able to afford a few private schools, but giving families throughout the entire socioeconomic spectrum the choice to take their kids from a failing school, the public school that they happen to be districted in, putting them in a private school to help their kid. Like that's a material, tangible benefit to people's lives throughout the entire socioeconomic spectrum, and supporting that policy is better than not. I mean, I don't want to use the word objective because there is, the left would still say, oh, well, you're starving funding of the public schools and that's why it's such poor quality. We can get into the weeds on that, but I don't think we have to. All I'm saying is that, it's not a clear cut, everything President X only helps group A and everything President Y only helps group B and never shall the two cross paths is not an accurate portrayal of how the real world works. So to say, I hate this group because they have more money, making no distinction between how they got that money, right? Did they steal it? Did they lobby the government for it? Or did they create a product that millions of people said, hey, I like this thing. I'm going to give them a couple bucks because I like it so much. Like those are two clearly different ways to get rich, and to say like, well, the 1% are evil and to lump that entire group together isn't 100% rational way to group and think, well, I don't care what these policies do as long as it hurts those rich people, whatever it does for me is irrelevant.
Well, I don't know about, so you say you follow those things, like how much of it is satire and how much of it is like, they're kind of canon.
I'll give you
I remember being Democratic and I was never like anti-rich. I was just always like, we need programs to help bail people out that, just get a
right. Here's the question.
Yes.
When you were younger and just heard the basic tropes, which is basically right, like Democrats care about the poor and the working class, and Republicans care about the rich. And
I never got that far into it.
Right, but what I'm saying is, even that meme right there is very surface level, and most people don't get that far. That's what I'm saying. But there's still, like, in society, there's still the noise of Democrats care about, the
Democrats care, Republicans just want money.
Right, exactly. That meme is out there. So what I'm saying is that by having that out there, this type of understanding is going to be common. And so when the analogy I was going to give you is, who do you fear more? Do you fear the crazy guy who's spouting a bunch of stuff on the corner? Or do you fear the guy who's spouting the same crazy stuff, but he's in a special office where a bunch of people owe, and voluntarily in some cases, give him their allegiance, and then you have these blind masses of his followers acting on what he says? Which of those two scenarios is more scary?
I'm going to go with option D.
Right. I mean, to ask the question is to answer it. So when that meme
is a straw man? Would that be like a straw man?
No, that would be a rhetorical question. Oh. Straw man would be me taking whatever your argument is, thinking of the most ridiculous application of it I can, and attacking that instead of attacking what your actual argument was. So it would be the same thing. So if I say there should be no police, right? The straw man of that is, you just want Wild Wild West anarchy where people are just walking down the aisle at Publix, capping each other in the head for the last can of beans, right? So that would be a
fucking happy fun land and fucking Mad Max.
That would be a straw man of my original point of maybe the police isn't the best way to provide security because the government has all these bad incentives and the private market could do it easier. And like having that is a very different discussion than having the other one. But they attack that straw man so that they don't have to have that discussion.
I feel like we have a lot of straw man.
We've covered a lot of area in this episode so far. But anyway, are we pretty much done with clause 1? Well,
I was done with clause 1 before we even began. I don't even know why we.
All right.
Clause 1's got all the juice to it.
Basic takeaway. The idea of supporting somebody because he hurt somebody you don't like, as opposed to actually tangibly and materially helping you, that's a poor character trait that exists on both sides. And to think that only Trump supporters have it, or they have it to a degree greater than the rest of humanity, is what is that? Is that arrogance? What is that? Where you said when you're so devoid of the ability to look at yourself in your own proverbial mirror and be like, I see a lot of me in that person that I hate. Narcissism. Well, that would be if you see yourself in everything. But what I'm saying is they're failing.
It also cuts both ways too. So narcissism, you don't think that you fail at anything. You don't think that you do anything wrong.
Okay.
So there's no point to self-reflection because you're already so great.
Right.
And everyone should keep up with you.
Yeah. So we're just saying that applies everywhere. And,
well, that's fucking humanity.
If you happen to hold that view, no matter which side of the angle you're on.
That's that piece of shit on the bike that hit my car.
If you hold that view,
swear to God,
take a look in the mirror.
All
right, clause 2.
To your face, buddy. To your face.
Okay. Not what he does for them, but what he does against other people. Clause 2. That's why they see him as being successful. This is why they will never abandon him. His tormenting of quote-unquote others sustains them.
Sustains me. Your agony nourishes me. Let the hate flow through you. Did I just become the emperor right there?
I think you did.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Do
you think they drink that sustaining stuff out of like golden chalices made from the bones of
is there like a
fallen enemies?
A fridge in the very back of the grocery store where if
this
you go
is a good year of their anguish.
If you ask the right person,
you can really taste their lament.
Oh, that's a sad view.
Yeah.
It's sad that people actually think that about.
They have to wear robes too. I mean, they have to wear robes. You have
So-
to robe when you're drinking out of your chalice.
So anyway,
Sustenance. Your
clause
saving
clause
chalice.
1, you know,
Chalice.
as David likes to say, was a steeping bowl of foreshadowing.
Technically, Wade Wilson.
So yeah, just to continue that conversation into clause 2, you know, his success is judged by how much he hurts other people. Again, just use the rich scenario for the left. Now, somebody's going to say, well, it's because the right makes it about race, which is something you can't control, but being rich is something you can, because I guess you can give your money away. So maybe there's a distinction for why the right's worse. Well, let me just give you another way to look at that. So if regardless of race or socioeconomic status, you look at it as human beings are individuals. They're not collective groups. This is why stereotypes and, you know, things strike us in the gut as being wrong.
But we are tribal.
We are tribal. However, that doesn't, but again, we're thinking on a higher plane than our
Right.
tribalism. We're trying to say, like, we might be tribal and we might collect into communities, you know, all the time for a lot of different reasons. But what we still have to recognize is at the fundamental level, we are individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And we have our own unique experiences and our own goals and hopes and dreams. And yes. So, you know, that is fundamentally what's underlying the problem of racism. I mean, yes, the biggest problem of racism is the idea that one race is superior to another. The other problem is that it refuses to treat people of an entire racial class with any sort of individualism, and to think, I don't know that person. Just because that person happens to be in the same group as this other person, I'm not going to take, you know, maybe a poor reaction that I had in the past and say, well, that's indicative of the entire group. So not looking at people as individuals, unique in everything about them, is what leads to things like racism and also things like classism. You know, like, again, going back to, you know, the left's version of this. And they say, well, you're rich, you made a lot of money somehow. I don't know whether you stole it or whether, you know, you gave people something that they wanted to buy, but I'm just going to put you all in the same group. And I'm going to say that if you're in the 1%, you're evil, you're greedy, you're bad, you're da-da-da-da-da. It's refusing to treat people like individuals, to make distinctions and say, is this thought that I have about this group valid, supportable in any way other than me just being emotionally reactionary to a certain life circumstance of my own.
That's indicative too. It's also demonizing the other side, obviously, because that's what you do when you go to war with people. Is you dehumanize the other side so that you can perform the acts of war that are despicable, and you can do it without remorse because they're not actually humans, because they're on that side and I'm on this side. This is the side of the good guys. That's the side of the bad guys. So that's basically what we're, unfortunately, the media nowadays has pitted themselves in a war between each other. And now we're seeing it more and more that facts don't matter, feelings do. Like, it doesn't matter if the story is actually factually accurate. It matters if it makes you feel the way that the person
that you're supposed to feel.
Right, exactly. So we've gone over this time and time again. I was just having a discussion with one of my more left friends today, and I just brought up something that was completely devoid of this. We're still in Corona times, by the way, to let you know we're kind of at. We got on the Corona. This guy my friend only wanted to talk about Corona. I was like, well, yeah, too, but the narrative is that you can't say that the coronavirus grew because of the protests, which would just seem normal to say, like, hey, there's a lot of people. There's probably a good chance that he's like, well, that's a Republican way of side-skirting the issue of Corona. I was like, no, it was just bringing up another fact that I thought was pertinent to this particular topic, because the eschewing of that one little detail should prove that their whole argument is flawed, because they won't let in all the information. If you're gatekeeping information, you're not true, you're not fair, you're not balanced, and you shouldn't be taken seriously. And just by the way, on a lighter note, A dog did sneak into our recording studio. We're trying to find a little son of a bitch. It's not somebody screaming for help down in my basement. I promise. It's definitely not the latter. It's a dog.
Way to stay on topic. Well, the point that you just made there at the end about not giving all the information, I wanted to tie that into what you said earlier about the facts and feelings thing. And let's think about it from the people who have power and want to retain power.
Yep.
Certain things happen in the world. Those are what we would call facts. In many cases, especially now, since things are on video, on all of those kind of things, it's really hard to lie about the facts, because if anybody gets their hands on a whole unedited video, they see what really happened and they go, they start to have different conclusions, right? So the facts are largely, with the exception of, like I said, editing out, and of course that's going to be attempted. But the point is that facts, once they're experienced, are unchangeable. They are what they are. Right. A either went to B or B went to A. What does the video show? Or what did you see with your eyes? That kind of thing. So the facts can't be changed, but keep in mind that the feelings always can. So whether it is only showing you one side, only telling you one story, what are they trying to do? They're not telling you the facts are any different. They only give you a piece of the story, because the story that you're given plays a huge role into what you're going to feel about the situation.
The information you're given is the information you have to work with and how you will decide, period.
Right. So that's why it's not some sort of cultural anomaly where we can't figure out how to explain why feelings are more important than facts. That's exactly why. The ones that seek to divide us, the classic divide and conquer strategy, the ones that seek to divide us are always going to play up the tools that give them the best chance to do it. If feelings matter more, we can get this group to fight against this group, this race to fight against this race, or this socioeconomic class against this one. If we can create those divisions, then we can tell the stories however we want. And regardless of what the facts are, we get one half of the country to believe this thing on a visceral gut feeling level, and the other half of the country to believe this thing, and they're never, ever, ever going to come to any sort of compromise to take our power away. Au contraire, they're going to give us more so that we can make sure that we scare them sufficiently enough to say, if the other side gets all the power, they're going to impose their worldview on you, and that's evil, right? Yeah, that's evil. And the other side says the exact same thing, and then we wonder why this country is so polarized. It's because of memes like this.
But we still love you. We still love you, little listener.
The reason we're having this conversation is because we love you. Because if you came to this podcast from the left or the right, we want you to walk away from it thinking there might be a whole other way to consider this paradigm that I'm given. That there's only two choices, and there's only, my group is always right and that one's always wrong, or vice versa.
Guess what? Let's stop taking this approach. I don't know about you, Dane, but I'm steeped. I was raised in Catholicism, so I've got a huge, huge capacity for self-doubt. So I had
no idea where you were going with this at
any
first.
given circumstance, like I'll say something that I'm 99%, like the sun rose in the east today, right? And then somebody will be like, no, it didn't. Like, and then automatically it's be like, that guy's an asshole. I immediately go, did the sun really rise in the east? How do I know that? What happened to me? So, I mean, if you come in on the right and you're staunch and you're not...
So no matter what you think about the church today, if it gave you that character trait, I think it succeeded.
A little fucking self-doubt is really good and really healthy. You can't know everything. You can't be right all the time. So give the benefit of the doubt. Have a conversation with a Republican. Have a conversation with a liberal. Have a conversation with a libertarian. Have conversations and don't let your opinion of the other person falter. You can have an opinion of something that's completely devoid of whether or not they believe that Trump is a good president or not. I know it sounds weird and I know it sounds impossible right now, but it can be done. There can be good people out there that do vote for Trump.
And we're not complaining about...
I'm not saying that we do.
We're not complaining about 2 flavors of ice cream so that we can get a 3rd flavor, libertarianism. We want all the flavors.
Wait, I thought that's exactly what we're doing.
I mean, that's the flavor we prefer, but we're talking about all of them. We're talking about...
You don't know nothing about this.
Talk to your local socialist and communist and even fascist, and talk to your local... talk to your local agorist.
Don't you filibuster me. I got one.
Talk to your local Scientologist.
We want to put our throbbing flavor in
Oh my God! Why? No. When I gave you the floor just now, that's not even remotely where I thought you were going.
Let's put our flavor in.
No.
Come on, just put the flavor in.
Anyway, a lot of different philosophies and theories out there, and you should look into as many that you think are plausible and ask all the critical questions about them, and we'll end up in a happier place.
It's throbbing because it's made of heart.
All right, we're not going any further with that. Ladies and gentlemen, come to wmdpodcast.com/5, right?
I think this is 6. I think 5 was my really weird ramble. Yeah, it was 5 was my
Okay, this is 6? Okay.
This is 6.
wmdpodcast.com
I don't know. What does the script say?
/6. Guess as good as mine, man. All your podcast catchers, definitely come to the website. Drop us your email. We want to talk to you in email. Talk to us in the comments on the show notes page. Become an active member of the community. Suggest shows to us. Tell us why we're wrong.
Or be a dick.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care anymore. As long as
just come engage with us. We're lonely.
Be an educated dick. You don't come and be a dick if you haven't listened to the show and just be like, this shit's stupid. You guys are a bunch of gays. Like, you gotta have some credible information. Yeah, I listened to your bike episode and it was just 40 minutes of nonsense. I'm Lance Armstrong.
Was that this episode or was that a different
the other episode?
Oh man, what a tangled web we weave. Yeah, how all these episodes connect with each other.
There's a lot of callbacks.
All right, so anyway, wmdpodcast.com/6. Check us out there. Drop us an email. Drop us a comment, and most importantly, share us to all your friends and family.
You got it.